Alright, hello students. Good afternoon. It is exactly 4:35 p.m. on my clock. That means we have to start our class for this session. So before we start, who would like to volunteer to lead the prayer for this afternoon? Who wants to pray po? Sino po ang gustong mag-prayer? Meron po ba? Sino po ang gustong mag-lead ng ating prayer? Yes, Limwell, go ahead. Sige, Mr. Limwell.
Di manalangin tayo sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Diyos, sa Espiritu Santo. Amen. Nagpapasalamat po kami, Panginoon, sa mga biyayang aming natanggap, sa mga pinagkasugan, sa pagmamahal ng aming mga magulang, sa mga unawain ng mga guro, sa mga klase ng nito mag-aaral, sa aming pansin ng aming kasalanan. Pagawin po sa amin ng iyong kapayapaan, pagkakaisa, pagmamahal sa aming kapwa. Pinadalangin po namin Diyos ang bawat isa sa amin, ang aming kalagayan, ang aming tungkulin, bilang mga guro, mga mag-aaral, tungkulin sa paralan, bigyan bulan ng liwanag ang aming kaisipan upang mabot ang lahat ng ating dayang dinadalangin. Sa ngalan ni Jesus, Amen.
Alright, amen. Thank you very much for that, students. So, hello, students, and welcome back to our class. This is 3324, Fire Technology and Arson Investigation, and this is Miss Malaya teaching. So, good afternoon, everybody. As I can see, I have 30 students who are present for this afternoon. So, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. Yes, so kumusta man? How are you? No? Can you, okay, very good. So, please tell your other classmates, no, nga magsulod na ta sa klase for this afternoon because we have a discussion, no, that's very interesting, no? So, before we start our lesson, no, I would like to have a feedback if everybody is ready and try to send some heart emojis on our in-call messages so that I'll be able to know na ready na kayo na para magsimula tayo sa ating klase for this afternoon. Okay, sige. Very good. Okay, thank you for your responses. How about the others? Okay, how about the others po? Sige. Thank you for your hearts, everybody. Okay. So, again, no, this class is being recorded for educational purposes. If you want to rewatch our lesson for a review, then you can have a rewatch, and I will also send the link on your Quipper so that you can access as well as a group chat para easy access na lang siya. Okay? So, without further ado, no, let's have the week. This is week 6 to 7, no, part 2. So we have here, no, the methods or ways of investigator to protect human footprints. Okay, so, 'di ba? Nung nagsimula tayo nung Monday, na we opted to discuss or we have discussed, no, on the investigation or arson investigation methods. Now, paano natin mapoprotektan ang evidences natin? Now, 'di ba, na-discuss natin last time that we need to protect it by firstly, we must try to see and look for those evidences, no? Ato siyang i-identify if that's an evidence, and then if that is an evidence, we try to allocate some person to foresee it, and then we try to document it, no? And then for now, what about footprints? Okay. So if there are footprints that has been left on the fireplace or the burnt building or burnt place, okay, you need to firstly measure the footprints, no? And then letter B, you compare the prints. Letter C, you estimate the length of stride and the position of the feet. Letter D, peculiarities in the gait or walk or run of a suspect. Now, letter E is to secure identifying marks on the soles and heels of the shoes, the palapa and the heels, and the placed box over footprints to prevent dust from blowing over clear prints. And we also have keep them from in good condition for photographs and plaster casts. So if you have seen a fingerprint in the burnt place, okay, hindi nyo yan siya basta-basta i-alter kasi nga kinahanglan we must do some certain measurements so that if ever dadating na si Arts Investigation, we are prepared and we have secured all those possible evidences. Now, again, the golden rule is do not touch or move anything or alter anything unless properly documented and photograph. No, kasi yun yung golden rule natin. Kahit na footprint na siya, no, we still have a lot of chances to dig deeper and examine those footprints. Baka that is some kind of a remnants of the suspect, no, that we might know later on, no, when we investigate those footprints. No, so these are the following elements that we need to follow when there is a footprint. No? So, sino ang gagawa ng trabaho na ito? Si firefighter. Kasi nga, nagsisilbi as first responder si firefighter natin doon sa ating uh, burnt place. No? Sila na ang first responder. Again, no, kung si PNP, okay, ang patrol na to ang first responder kay usually sila man gid na ang nag-roving around the area, no? So si police officer siya ang first responder. Pag abot ni police officer kailangan iyahaday ni order ng area and so on and so forth. Same as sa kaniatuang firefighting methods nato, no? Or firefighting investigation methods. No? So before maabot si arson investigator, i-secure sa gidaan ni firefighter ang area and all those possible evidences. So, identifying and removing evidence, steps, and procedures. So, sige, who wants to read these three items? Sinong gusto magbasa? Anyone? Yes, Prince? Christian Lerin. Sige, go ahead, Prince.
Yes, ma'am. Identifying and removing evidence, steps and procedures. Number one, collected evidence should be properly identified and preserved in clean containers. Number two, make a careful notation of the date, time, and the place where the evidence found. Number three, initials of the person, investigators, person who collected the evidence on cans, bottles, and other articles should be noted.
Okay, thank you very much for that, student. So, kung nakikita nyo, no, one of those factors that we must observe when we try to collect and identify evidences is to properly identify kung ano-ano ba dapat ang kunin nating mga ebidensya. Hindi pwede na lahat ng bagay dun gawin nating ebidensya. No, we must relate those materials that we put or we should call as evidence or evidences. For example, there was what we call as a cellular phone that's been left, no, on the scene. Now, maybe that cellular phone contains some last dialed numbers or maybe contains some fingerprints, some DNAs if feasible. So, we must identify that left cellular phone in the uh, burnt place, no, to be kept and also preserve. No? Do not use your bare hands on collecting those evidences. Now, I do believe that all of you have finished the investigation and intelligence, no, na subject. So, you have further uh, investigated those facts, no, on how to deal with evidences. So, kabalo ko na how na mo mag collect og ebidensya. Now, you need to when you gather those evidences, no, you use gloves on picking it up, no, dili lang inyong kamot kay basin unyag maapil inyong fingerprint din ha. No? So that's a wrong way of collecting such evidences, because if you will collect that with your bare hands, there might be a possibility that it will be altered and tampered with your fingerprints. No? So um you need to preserve it in clean containers, no, much as possible you have those tools, no, kasi nga a firefighter, no, are not investigators, dili sila investigators, and they are not allowed to investigate those things or the arson that happened or the fire that happened. They're just there to suppress the fire. So, in line with this primary duty, they need to make a careful identification and preservation of those evidences. No, keep safe. In short, they must all of this, the one, two, three, no, they must do the chain of custody. Kasi nga, from the very beginning nga nakuha or na-acquire ninyo ng evidence, no, i-ask kayo kasi ni court nga na, okay, sino ang ah, anong oras or anong date yung nakuha ang ebidensya? That's number two. Okay, saan nyo banda nakuha ang ebidensya na ito? And sino ang pinakauna na kumuha ng ebidensya na ito? Okay? So, kinakailangan lahat ng pangalan ng tao na humawak, nakakita, pinagsalina ng mga ebidensya at yung pinakahuli na humawak at rason ng kanilang mga paghawak doon sa ebidensya should always be noted. Okay? Kasi nga, need yan to be admissible in court. Kasi if hindi yan na step by step followed na chain of custody, there's a big possibility that the court will not accept that as an evidence, no, in the court, no, if that is an arsonistic fire. Now, all of those persons, for example, they have gathered a cellular phone in the area of the fire. Anong mangyayari? They keep it in a clean container, and then they write on the clean container or anything that they have kept the phone or the evidence as safe, ilalagay nila doon ang, again, no, date, time, place, and then the initial of the person who collected the evidence, as well as the initial names of the investigators. Okay? So, let's have 4, 5, and 6 who would like to read. Any volunteer? Yes, Beverly, go ahead.
Number 4, keep a record of witnesses and of each person who has had or will have responsibility for the care and preservation of the evidence. Number 5, protect partly burned paper and ash between layers of plastic or between pieces of window glass for the investigator and for transportation to a laboratory. Number 6, preserve letters, documents, and bills to assist in establishing a person's financial status, which might be a motive for arson.
Okay, thank you very much for that, student. Now, for number 4, all those witnesses who have firstly witnessed or saw the fire, okay, as a firefighter, you should always get their names. Kasi nga, yun, doon natin malalaman if sino yung pinakauna nag-report, di ba? So, alamin natin yung mga tao who surrounded the burning building or those people that is present on the place which the fire occurred. Okay? Kasi nga, some of them may be witnesses kung sino yung nag-start ng sunog, if that's arsonistic, and malalaman nila kung sino yung may-ari ng building, ng bahay, no? Or it could also be, no, baka one of those witnesses is the one who really burned the building or house. No, we do not really know. So we keep those in record kasi aalamin yan pagdating ni arson investigator, isa-isa kasi iba-background investigation nila yan. No? So yung steps na yan is the same on the steps on investigating. Okay? Criminal investigating, no? Same yung steps nila kasi they're trying to find if that specific person will be able to give them some knowledgeable, useful na mga tinatawag natin na testimonies. Okay? Yun yun. So maybe those persons, if they have witnessed the fire, no, they can be a witness to be testified, or they will have their oath inside the court and they will testify if it was proven that it was in an arsonistic way that the burning building or the house was burned. Okay, so we also need to protect those partially burnt papers. Okay, paano natin siya ipoprotect? So when there is a paper, no, na parang tingin nyo it could be an evidence or it could be a key to how the fire started, okay, you keep it in a glass or a layer of plastic, yung transparent. Kasi nga, those papers could possibly be able to get back kasi may mga pinapatak yan ng mga chemicals, no, that will be used para malaman natin kung ano yung nakasulat sa burnt na mga paper. So, kaya, ikikip yon ng maayos and then the investigator will deliver it, no, the arson investigator will deliver it to the crime laboratory. Okay? So, number 6 naman. Okay, when there are bills, no, yung resibo or anything, documents, pertaining numbers or accounts, it could be used kasi nga ma-determine natin if if for example, a burnt establishment, no, consumers establishment, no, or a business establishment, so there's a big possibility that that specific fire that started could be a motive for an arson kasi nga maybe the financial capacity or the status of that specific building is dropping or baka nalulugi na kaya sinunog nila so that they can claim, ano makiklaim nila? Students, ano sa'yo maklaim?
Insurance.
Again?
Insurance, ma'am.
Yes, insurance. Now, that's a big um, reason bakit yung iba sinusunog na lang yung kanilang establishmento para makaklaim yung insurance nila. Para hindi sila malugi. No? So, kumbaga, gisunog na lang nila, kaya wala naman yung chance, kaya mo balik og boom ang business. So, na may insurance, para makuha ang insurance, gisunog na lang para maklaim. Okay? So, it could be a motive, one motive for arson. No? Makikita nila doon. Sige. Okay. 7, 8, and 9. Who would like to read? Sino gusto magbasa? Yes, Muhammad. Go ahead.
Number 7, place wood suspect of containing paraffin or oil in a clear container and seal it until a chemical analysis will be conducted. Pack objects such as charred candle wick and burned matches in a bottle containing cotton to prevent breaking the evidence by jarring and handling. Number 9, store samples of materials such as cotton, wood, rayon, felt, and other fabrics in a clean, lag-mounted bottles. Seal tightly and mark properly.
Okay, thank you very much for that, student. Now, place wood suspected of containing paraffin or oil in a clear container, no, and seal it until a chemical analysis will be conducted for number 7. So, if there are suspected, no, na mga parts sa building or sa katunasunog na balay or establishment, no, it could be that there's a big possibility that that specific that specific wood was literally gibubuan og, it could be kerosene or kanang mga fire starters nato na mga chemicals. So if the arson if the firefighter no would be kanang na siya initiative, no, malalaman niya yon kasi based pa lang sa baho sa fire na ilahang giapula, madidetermine nila yun. Okay? Ay, halang anong kuan man ni? Kagaya na sinabi ko, halang anong baho maning gasolina nga wala maning gasolina ni ilahang kuan lugar. No? That could be the first possibility of an arson fire. No? So, you need to keep it in a container kay dadalhin pa rin yan sa crime laboratory. And then, if there is charred candle wick and burnt matches, no? So, kato siya on how to protect those evidence, ilalagay natin sa jar so that we can see if ever saan or anong brand yung ginawa or anong chemical yung nag-start ng fire. Okay? And also, yung mga fabrics or mga maybe there is kanang cotton or usually if there is arson no usually ginagamit nila is fabric no, it could be kanang mga nuog, mga tela, because maybe those tela naa pa siya mga adhesive nga nabilin didto sa kung unsa ang gigamit nga, kung kerosene ba, gas ba no, syempre basig didto nagsugod ang sunog. And then we can take that samples to be examined again on the crime laboratory. So, number 10 naman, volatile liquids, oil samples, oil-soaked rags, waste, and the like should be kept in tin cans and seal them. Okay? Yung usually, no, basig ka nang naay mga kanang katong ginasulti nato nga modilaub nga mga liquid, no? So it should be kept in cans and seal them, no? Or it could be soak rags or oil samples, no, mga signay mga used oil and all, i-keep na sila as, and again i-check yan sa crime laboratory. Okay, who wants to read this one? Building code and building requirements.
Ako ma'am.
Sige, Abulok, go ahead.
Building code. Standard rules for safety in the construction of buildings. Buildings code vary in their fire resistance requirements in accordance with the occupancy classification.
Okay, thank you very much, student. Now, building code and building requirements. So, a building code is a standard rule. That should be followed when you try to construct a building. Kung magpatukod ka og building na ay mga dapat i-follow nga mga rules and regulations, no. Number 1, no, it should be fire resistant, no. Dili ingon nga di siya dapat masunog. It could be fire resistant sa for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, no, in accordance with the occupancy classification. Now, if your building is 100-story tall, 100 floor kutob, or 100 floor siya kataas, kinakailangan, if ever, kung 1 hour lang naka-fire resistant ang imuhang building, di, unsa na lang tong namoy sa 100 floor, di na sila kanaog. So, kinahanglan, it could vary kung unsa kataas ang building, unsa kadaghan ang nagpuyo sa building. No? So, we have different building codes. So, we have here the building code requirement, no? The intended occupancy and use, yung sinabi ko. Life safety, kung sino yung mga nakatira, ilan ba ang nakatira. Fixed fire protection system. I do believe na naanamuan ni, no, katong sa industrial security, mangguro ni nga katong mga fire alarms, tama ba ko? Katong mga sprinklers, nakahinumdum ba mo na students? Nakaagi pa mo ana? Nakahinumdum mo ana? Or wala?
Yes, ma'am.
Oo,
Yes, ma'am.
naana siya, no? Those measurements, no, nga, if there are certain fire or smoke nga or smoke detector, no? So, it could be nga, ma-alarm, no, ang mga tao, no? That's one of the building codes. Kaya, syempre, unsaon na lang itong nagpuyo sa 100 floor kung wala sila kabalungan na sunog na day ang ika-5th floor, no? So, dapat, tanan occupants sa building should be notified when something like that happens, especially fire. We also have here the spacing of structures, no? If you wanted to build a building, so a spacing structure should be followed. Like, dili siya ingon nga, pag nana sa pikas room ang sunog, dali ra kayo mula mo sa pikas room pod. No, dili. It should be that those structure have this, what we call as fire stop or fire blocking mechanisms, no? That we will discuss later on. Height requirements and the fire retarding features. So, okay, sige, who wants to read? Any volunteer?
Ma'am.
Yes, Amelita?
A building design is based upon the occupancy and the individual structure, considering both the combustibility of the contents and the human factors of occupancy. Buildings wherein large occupants are assembled, such as dormitories, schools, hospitals, where crowds may generate panic hazards, call for a higher and greater degree of fire safety protection than do warehouses and buildings which are less populated. Buildings that contain high combustible materials call for a greater degree of fire resistance in the structure.
Thank you very much, student. So, kagaya ng sinabi ko that you need to think of your occupants, yung mga nagpuyo or nag-occupy sa katong nga building, and what is the purpose of the building. If ever that building is an apartment, oh, so ibig sabihin kong apartment, na ay mga nagpuyo nga mga tao. So, if your apartment is a 5-story high building, 5th floor kutob, no? So, you need to think of it nga, okay, how will my building be able to follow this fire codes or building codes, no? So that maging if ever na ay sunog, dili kaayo ma-threaten ang life sa ako ang mga occupants sa building, sa apartment. So, you need to think, okay, to make it as much as possible fireproof na mga 50% out of 100% or fire resistant within pila ka hours. Okay? So, syempre, if that building is a consumer building, no, for example, mga malls, no, mga laaganan nga kanang lugar na building, no, for pleasure. Okay, anong mangyayari? No? Also, if that is a building which occupies no mga business nga mga areas, no, you also need to think na how could all those people, no, mas greater ang amount sa mga mulaag, di ba, sa mall, and how will you protect those occupants? Maybe, naakay fire exit, na fire alarms, sprinklers, and ang mga walls should be thick as much as possible, no, and naakay kanang daghan nga doors nga exits, fire exits, emergency exits, so that all the occupants nga magkatong mga ninglaag sa mall makagawas dayon ug dili sila matrap. Okay? So, it's not just about the main structure of the building, but also, no, you think of how could all of these people be able to get out of this place as swift or as fast as much as possible. No, when there is a fire, literally, kung naay sunog, kay kanang kung sunog, dali ra jud kay na siya mulamoy. Di na maghulat ka, oy, gawas sa mo tanan kay usa na ko ni sunugon. Dili na. Di na siya moingon nga, Okay, sige, stop sa ako diri pagdali mong panggawas. Sige, 5 minutes gawas na tanan. O dili, no? How about ng imuhang Mall of Asia, dako kaayo. No? Unsaan man nimo pagpagawas sa tanang tao dinaa when there is fire, no? There's a big possibility nga naadyoy matrap. No? So kinakailangan ang building design nimo should incorporate, no, number one, gyud hunahunahon nimo fire kung naay sunog. Kay mao jud na usually literal ang mahitabo if you try to build, no, some buildings. Okay, life safety naman. The provision of adequate exits is the most important feature in designing a building for life safety. Life safety. Once fire is notified, occupants can leave the building in the least possible time through exits free from fire, heat, and smoke. Okay, sige. If you wanted to build a mall nga pareha kadako sa Mall of Asia, imagine Mall of Asia. Okay. Or, let's have it locally. G-Mall. Okay. Ang G-Mall is a big mall in Tagum City. Now, how could you how could all those people get out safely, no, when there is fire? Okay, so kung ma-observe ninyo ang G-Mall, daghan siya og pwede magawsan nga doors. Tama ba? Students, daghan ba portahan ang Gmall nga pwede ma-means of exit sa mga tao?
Daghan, ma'am.
Yes, daghan. No, that's one. Okay. Kung makita ninyo sa atubangan sa Gmall, no, dito pa lang sa may baggage counter sa gawas, naiisa, sa ubos, naiisa, naapay mga parking lots, no, naa dito, naa sa may grocery. Kung sa second floor ka, makagawas ka, pero sa balcony lang. Dili ka literal nga makagawas jud, but sa balcony, no? Free from heat and smoke. No? So, kinakailangan, there is an adequate nga fire exit, no? Or exits. Kung pananglitan, kung sa apartment pod, dapat na ay katong emergency exit nga ladder. No? So, kay wala man jud ta kabalo og kanus-a mag-occur ang fire og asa nga floor mo lamoy ang kalayo so that maghunahuna na kadaan ang imong pinakauna jud hunahunaon when you create a building or when you construct a building is doors, no? As much as possible there should be enough doors kay para makagawas ang mga tao and as well as if there is a fire, no, mas dali siya nga muhungaw ang kainit kay na may mga doors nga pwede i-ventilate. Okay? Okay, sige. Who wants to read this one? Sino gusto magbasa? Yes, Robert Lu. Robert Lu. Sige, Robert Lu.
Yes, ma'am.
Sige, go ahead.
Fixed fire protection system installed would be in accordance with sound economical and engineering practices. These systems ensure the maximum life safety or maximum degree of property protection where the size, type of construction, occupancy, or other conditions create severe monetary or loss potential. Spacing of structures of an adequate planning and construction operation of buildings structures is very important to prevent the spread of fire from an adjacent building or from area to area. Spacing requirements that restrict types of occupancies or specified areas have an important bearing upon fire safety.
Okay, thank you very much for that, student. Now, fixed fire protection system, no? Kagaya ng sinabi ko, fire alarms, number 1, fire detectors, no? Kay it would notify all those occupants in that specific building so that ma-maximize nila ang chance nga mabuhi good sila, no? Kay nakabalo sila that there is fire because of the installations nga gihatag or gi-install sa building. Okay, we also have here, no? It's very important po that when you plan to build a building, no, dili gid ingon nga sangko gid sa pikas building. no, kanang dikit-dikit ba, as much as possible, if dili feasible nga dili gid siya madikit because of kanang minimization or wala na maximize ang lugar or ang lote natukuran og building, then you 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 put some firewalls na that we will discuss later on. Now firewalls are big walls, literal nga semento nga wall nga taas kaayo, so that if ever na ay sunog sa pikas building, dili siya dayon mo manilingan. Kay naman kay firewall that is thick as much as possible. No? Kay para dili dayon masunog ang building. So, when you try to build or you construct a building no sa mga contractors and all no mga architects ginahuna-huna jud na nila first ang pagtukod kung ang kaniba nga area diri is commercial area nga daghan og mga building, so unsay mga possible nga dapat measurements no para kani siya nga building kay fire resistant siya, or if ever na isunog dili dayon siya matapdan or dili dayon mo lamoy sa yaha ang sunog. Okay, so kinakailangan when we construct buildings no we need to have in mind no to protect the building and as well as the occupants of the building. Sige. Okay, height requirements naman. So, owing to the life hazard involved, it is a good practice to limit the height of structures that have an unusually high degree of combustibility. The height of buildings of masonry or concrete wall and wood construction is generally limited to a height assumed to be a maximum or to be the maximum at which the fire departments can operate and fight fire effectively. Working from the street level, the operational limit is usually 3 or 4 stories. So in Tagum City, let's have this cited locally, no, domestically kay sa Tagum City, most of the buildings are 3 to 4 stories lang gyud kay uh, dili ingon nga daghan og fire truck ang Tagum City, and if mag-fire inspection na sila no ang ato ang mga firefighter no building inspection as what I mean, okay, gina-check nila ang building no before magtukod sila man na mo pirma man pud na sila and mo approve na sila if ever nga kanang ipatukod na siya nga building, di ba naman yung mga building permits no, and then approve ingon ani, then danay mga certain certificates nga ihatag ang BFP that that specific building is good to go nga pwede siya matukod kay fire resistant siya og mga yun ani ka hours, and then effective ang ilahang gipangbuhat. So usually 3 to 4 stories or third floor to fourth floor lang ang mga buildings nila except sa mga malls no kay naman na sila kanang kasunduan pud ana, okay, on street level. So usually kung magpatukod kag balay no mga third to fourth floor lang pod no, so kung dato kayo mo okay ra kay ng fifth floor, pero if we talk about no kung sa city or sa center sa city no usually 3 to 4 stories ra jud na. So kung makita niyo sa Tagum City dili jud ingon nga mga tag-as kay ang buildings no, ang tag-as ra nga building na makita nato kay Historical, G-Mall, Robinson, Unitap no, and all those other malls no, NCCC no. So usually gyud ang uban pantay-pantay ra gyud na usahay second floor lang gani jud no to third floor no. So kung sa schools naman ang tallest nga story na ako nakit-an is sa City High na naabot og fifth floor lata to yung extension no, and kanang usually man pod karon di na siya ginagamit no kay kasi man yung mga building sa school is not good for face to face kay online man pod, so there is a minimum factor or minimal factor that it will burn or it be burned. Okay? So, fire retarding features naman, we have here, while a facility is still being designed, everything possible should be planned and done to make the facility eventually fire safe. Fire retarding features must be specified in the plans for the safety of personnel. Important provisions in preventing the spread of fire, both vertically and horizontally in buildings, should be constructed. So if ever kung naay sunog, okay, maghahanap talaga tayo ng ways, no, kung asan to pala pa i-ventilate ang katunga building, no? So it's important that doors are leveled, windows are leveled kay para mas dali siya magiging ventilated or well ventilated ang building. So fire stops, all right? We are almost done with our presentation. So wood is used as a fire stop. It must be at least 2 inches thick. Concealed spaces in the building should be filled with non-combustible material. Fire stops must be inspected during the construction. Now, nagpatukod na mo og balay, pananglitan balay. Naay wood nga baga kaayo, no? Kanang salambiran bang kanang kuan. 2 inches thick, mga ingon ani ka baga. And then it should be nga kay for example naay mga spot dito ang hawang, okay? Kay between the wall and the wood that is used as a fire stop, naa siya gap. So you will use a concealer nga non-combustible nga murag type of foam or glue. Okay, I have a video here that will tell you what are some of the fire stops nga ginagamit. Okay? So let's watch the video. Okay, is everybody still with me? Nandito pa ba ang lahat?
Yes po,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So please watch
Yes,
the
ma'am.
video. Sige, very good. Please watch the video para makakita mo ug unsa ang nawong sa mga different types of fire stops. So one example nato diri is wood. Usually mo ginagamit. But we have different types of fire stopping materials. So please watch the video para ma-incorporate sa inyong mind kung unsa ang nawong anin nila. Okay? Sige.
For a wall or floor to be effective in restricting fire and smoke spread, all joints, gaps, and openings for services must be adequately sealed or fire stopped. Unsealed pipes, cables, ventilation systems, and so on, passing through fire-resisting walls, ceilings, or floors, are a common cause of fire spread that can lead to escape routes being compromised. There are a wide range of fire-stopping and penetration sealing products. Let's now have a look at some of these products. Coated stone wool bats are useful as fire-stopping for voids, as they allow surfaces to be updated easily. Bats can be friction-fitted to the sides of the opening and around the penetrating surfaces. A fire-resistant sealant is generally applied to all joints and to the raw edges of the slab. Sealants and mastic coatings are suitable for all forms of fire-resistant construction, particularly where openings are small or where complex gaps occur between the building
Para
structures.
siyang Volcasil.
When mixed with water, mortars can be poured or troweled into surface penetration openings to form a fire-resistant, load-bearing seal. These seals are made from elastomeric foam, sometimes with reinforcing sheets on either side. The foam and reinforcing sheets may be intumescent. These products are generally supplied in a strip form. They are normally used to seal gaps at movement joints between two building elements, such as between floors and walls. Bags and pillows are available in various sizes and shapes. They are used for temporary or permanent fire-stopping situations, where services such as cables pass through walls and floors. Pipe collars, or pipe wraps, can be used where plastic pipes or plastic trunking pass through fire-resistant floors or walls. Plastic pipes and trunking soften and collapse with heat. This can allow the passage of hot gases and smoke between compartments. Pipe collars and pipe wraps contain an intumescent compound, which expands when exposed to fire. As the intumescent compound rapidly expands, the pressure crushes the pipe and seals the opening. Pipe collars incorporate a rigid outer casing, which acts as a restraint for the intumescent material. Pipe wraps have no casing and must be located within the separating structure. Plugs, or blocks, for fire stopping are available in a variety of shapes and sizes. They can be used individually, in small penetrations, or in multiple layers for large openings. They are useful where services require occasional rerouting. Foams are usually only suitable for the fire stopping of small gaps, for example between a fire door frame and the surrounding construction, or between a wall and an adjoining floor. Foams are not generally suitable for sealing cable and pipe penetrations.
Okay, so kung makita ninyo, yun yung mga types of fire stopping materials natin. But most commonly that is used is katong wood nga na ay sealants. Okay? So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung ibang building, no, hala, bakit yung isang room lang yung nasunog? Bakit yung isa hindi nasunog? Kasi nga, there is a fire stopping material that stop the fire from entering that specific na room. So that's very important, no, yung fire stops natin. Now, fire partitions are installed in separate areas of hazardous occupancies from areas of ordinary or light hazard occupancies that resist the passage of fire from one area to another. Fire partitions must be constructed to have fire resistance rating of 1 to 2 hours. The degree of fire resistance will be governed by the following factors: type of building construction, size of the hazardous area, and the severity of the fire hazard. Okay, firewalls naman, ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Okay, yung fire partitions, para lang siyang layer of kanang mga materials, okay, that is kanang gipapilit or group together para dili dayon mo takod sa pikas nga room ang sunog. Kay di ba kung nipis kayo ang wall ninyo, mas dali siya masunog, mas dali mobalhin ang sunog sa pikas nga kwarto. So fire partitions, mga baga na siya nga it's either kanang kahoy or metal, no, nga gipagtagpi-tagpi nila. Now, firewalls, these are installed for the purposes of preventing the passage of fire from one building to another. Ang fire partitions inside the building. Kada wall ninyo baga kay siya para dili siya sunog dayon sa pikas, dili day motabok ang sunog. Firewalls naman are installed outside the building para ang sunog sa pikas building dili musulod sa another building. Okay? So, it has a particular fire resistance rating depending on its construction and thickness. So, kaya sinasabi ko sa inyo, it would matter, no, na dapat baga ang firewall so that dili makasulod ang sunog. Okay? So, I have here a short video again. No, this will be the last video for this afternoon, and let's just see kung unsa ang mga firewall and fire partition so that you'll be able to know, okay?
Hello and welcome to Archie Corner. This is episode number 15, and today we're going to answer the question, what is a fire-rated wall? Actually, no, we're not. You won't find the term fire-rated wall in the building code. Instead, you will find the term fire resistive rating. And depending on the application, you will either have this fire resistive rating provided by a firewall, a fire barrier, or a fire partition. Although they are quite similar, they have different applications, and therefore they're a little different the one from the other. Here's a quick list showing when each one of these items are applied. And you can see by the fact that a fire barrier has a longer list that this fire barrier is one of the more common applications. Not that the other two are less important, just that this one is the more common one. Regardless of which one of these we choose, each one comes in different fire resistive ratings. More specifically, in time ratings of 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, and 4 hours. By now you've probably already figured it out. This is not rocket science. What this means is that if there was a fire or similar danger in a building, a barrier would need to be placed at strategic places as designated by the building code so that the occupants can remain reasonably safe as they exit or get help exiting the building. In lower risk applications, a 1 hour rating would be sufficient, whereas in higher risk applications, you would need a higher rating. Although this is just one of many applications, a sample would be stairs. You need to access stairs to exit a building. If the building is 3 stories tall, a 1 hour rating may be sufficient. But if you have a skyscraper and you have like 100 stories, well, a 1 hour rating may not be enough. And you see, that's it. Nothing to it. Now you know the basics of what a fire resistive rating is. And next time someone asks you they need a fire rated wall, you can probably sound a little smart and say, do you really mean a fire rated wall? Because I think you might need a fire barrier, not a firewall. Perhaps even a partition. And just look at their startled faces while you laugh inside knowing that you outsmarted them formally. Thank you again very much for watching this video. I hope you find it useful. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that like button. If you like these types of videos, don't forget to subscribe. Below are a few other videos.
Okay, thank you very much, no? So, yun yung sinabi ko. Okay. Yung fire partitions inside the building, firewalls outside the building. So, ito yung giingon ako ba nga, baga siya nga compilation of, it's either kanang structured na mga woods and maybe metals, no, diri para dili dayon mo masunog ang pikas nga kwarto. So, ito yung sinabi ko sa inyo. Again, ang firewalls, sa gawas na siya sa building. So, that is the end of Career 324, Fire Technology and Arson Investigation. And this is Miss Malaya teaching. Okay, everybody, we are done with our class for this afternoon. Please try to turn on your cameras if you do not have any questions, clarifications, or queries. Nasabtan ba tanan? No? Okay, very good. Sige. Let me just refresh for a while kasi hindi makita yung iba. Okay, sige. Everybody, let's take our photo documentation for this afternoon. On 3, 2, 1, everybody, show us your widest smiles. Okay. 3, 2, 1, smile. Alright, thank you very much for attending this afternoon's class. I hope you'll learn something from me. I will see you again on Friday po. Goodbye, babush, paalam, and you can now leave po. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you're very much welcome, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sige, bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.